Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're here with artist Lisa Adams and performance artist Marsian De Lellis. Painter Lisa Adams was born in Pennsylvania and raised in Claremont. She earned a Bachelor of Arts from Scripps College and an MFA from the Claremont Graduate University, where she took classes, a lot of classes, right? You never left Claremont, it seems.
Took a lot of classes, that's it.
And you also took classes at the University of Heidelberg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What kind of classes did you take there?
I did my junior year abroad.
Oh, you
Heidelberg.
did?
Uh-huh.
Ah.
So my junior year was at the University of Heidelberg, and I did something called Germanistik, which is the study of German culture, history, language.
Over there too?
Uh-huh.
I bet it was beautiful, right on the river?
History, art history, and the history of garden design.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that really influenced your work.
Well, it's fabulous living in Europe when you're 20 and 21 years old, and it was my introduction to contemporary filmmaking.
Oh, we have a film to talk about tonight too.
Yeah, which has always been a great inspiration to my painting. And when I was 20, my Marxist friends took me to this thing called the Night Studio, and they introduced me to Werner Herzog.
When you were there, in Germany.
Yeah, and so it was the first time that I had ever seen his work. And I was just so taken by it that he has remained for me a lifelong hero. And I had the fortune of meeting him on my birthday last year at the Getty.
Oh, because he was in town.
And
how much time had been passed? 20, 30 years?
Oh my gosh, 38 years, 38
wow,
years.
Yes,
so
you'd been with him.
He had been my inspiration lifelong, and I was so thrilled to meet him, and I was so scared to meet him.
Again, you mean?
I was so scared to meet him because I had seen so many interviews with him where he was, grumpy.
Oh,
and so I
Aren't
thought,
we all?
and I thought, oh no, here's this person he doesn't know, right? And he wants to.
And she said, I met you when I was 20 years old.
Right, it's my birthday and all that, and so he was very sweet. He was very kind, and it was great. So I was so happy to meet him. He's
Isn't
such
that
a great
great?
Artist. He's just a fabulous artist.
That's fantastic. I want to go on and finish the rest of your introduction because you've been in solo and group shows across the United States. You've been an artist in residence in Japan and Finland and France, and you've lectured at a variety of colleges. You've also received the Fulbright, which is a fantastic. Where was that?
My Fulbright assignment was in Ljubljana, Slovenia.
And how did Slovenia come into the picture?
Well, the Fulbright is a pretty massive undertaking as an application, and at least in the times when I was awarded the Fulbright, you could apply in 2 different manners. You could apply as a person who had connections in Europe. So if you knew someone who wanted you and would write a letter of invitation, that was one way. Then there was another way of doing it, which was going through these listings. And you would go through these worldwide listings to see which institutions really wanted a visual artist or a painter or someone in agriculture or something like that.
Yeah.
So the year that I applied, there was an opening in Greece and in Israel and in Slovenia. And I had never heard of Slovenia. I didn't even know what it was. And it it had only been its own country for 2 years prior to that.
They had just broken up that
from Yugoslavia.
Union, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I thought, this might be really interesting to do, right?
That's so great of you to do that, because I'm sure it was interesting.
Oh, it was so interesting. It really did change my life.
But was
being
it
a Fulbright.
agriculture?
No. I was there as an artist in residence, and I chose to teach. I didn't have to, but I chose to teach at the Design University, and also at the MFA students, as a way to kind of enter the culture, through academia. And it was really interesting because most of the students spoke English, but I also had this fabulous visual dictionary that I got to use. So you would open a page.
It was a real dictionary?
Mm-hmm. You'd open it to a page, and it would have a page, let's say, the artist studio. And it would have numbers on every single little tiny item in the studio.
How great.
And you'd turn the page to find out number 16, brush, and what
how
it
you
is.
say it?
Uh-huh.
And so you learned the language a little bit, or
Well,
they learned back and forth?
Right, but a lot of them were very proficient, of course, in English language. But it helped me a lot to be able to use some words. And, then other photos, they'd have like the butcher shop or the machine shop or
that's so
something.
great.
It was beautiful, yeah.
Wouldn't that be wonderful in all languages?
Oh, I think they have it in all languages.
Oh, I've
yeah.
never even seen that before.
I just loved it.
But you talked about teaching, and I said agriculture because I know you're so much into the environment and environmental things that I thought agriculture just came to my mind right away. But when did you decide to paint? I mean, was Claremont a big influence on you because of the art schools there?
No. I'd been an artist since I was a very small child. And as most kids do, they draw and paint. But when I was 10, I realized I would be an artist. That was
you
it.
Did?
Yeah, that was it. And I had seen a reproduction in a book of The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali. And I thought, these people are like me. This is like
me.
Yeah, this is me. And so I never questioned it. That was it.
So, one of the things that we just mentioned was agriculture and probably activism too, along with it. And you haven't seen this painting for a very, very long time.
Very long time.
Because how long have I had it?
Oh my gosh.
Since the 70s? 80s?
Early 90s.
Oh, okay.
Early 90s, yeah.
And it's a turtleback.
It is a turtleback. It's really interesting because in those years I painted abstractly and I painted in acrylic paint. And everything that I painted, even though it was an abstract kind of lexicon,
right,
became a thing. It started to look like a thing. And that's when I decided in about 1996 that I would go with that. On the Fulbright, I started painting these watercolors, and they became more and more representational. And when I came back from the Fulbright, I thought to myself, well, I have two options. I can either go back.
Yeah, because that's what you're doing, painting objects, right? Or something that...
Or I could go forward and paint representationally, and that's what I wanted to do.
So you changed.
Well, what's really weird, to see this is because obviously it's so colorful now.
Yes,
everything's so colorful.
I think you had color underneath this, and you painted over it. You painted the color out.
Right.
But now you've let the color stay. Right. Because I see these where life A to Z and this cerise color and this is underneath the turtleback.
Yeah. It's really wild.
So you're coming out with color.
Kind of like that, right?
So you have a show at CB1 Gallery.
I have a show at CB1 until July 20th.
But he's representing you, and you can see your work there anytime you want to go there.
That's correct, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the show, and tell us about this piece, and then we'll talk about the other pieces in the show.
This particular piece is not in the show, but it's a newly minted piece by the by Aardvark Press here in Los Angeles, and they are a letterpress press. And if you know letterpress, it's really beautiful. It's used a lot for invitations, and they decided they wanted to invite artists to come and do work.
So they actually put the lead pieces down? Is it lead pieces?
They can. They didn't on this, but yes, they can.
That's what a letterpress would be. So how do you explain it?
This is so complicated. I didn't know it would be this complicated when I sort of designed it, but it's all been designed on the computer by me, and then I give them various electronic files, and they have these plates made.
Plates, yes. So there we go.
And so when they do this, they're actually pressing the ink with a lot of pressure into this paper. It's 100% rag paper. And so, for instance, the word life is like a relief. If you were to feel it, you'd feel a relief.
We can't see that, though.
Right. And the rest is pressed in. So this white is a relief, and the background is a relief.
So the yellow would be pushed down?
And then these are actually pieces of, it's a wood veneer that they print on. And
it looks like a collage.
And it is collaged on.
It is collaged on? So they do that all at the press?
Well, they send out, they have die cuts made.
Yeah.
And then they print on the wood veneer, and then they die cut the wood veneer, and then these are what are called foils. Those lines are black foils, and they're pressed in. And then after they're die cut, I collage them all on.
So you have your hand in it. And do they make a series of these?
20. There are 20. This is number 1 of 20.
So you make each one of the collages. They send you this piece of paper.
Yeah, well, I go there.
Or you go there.
Yeah, they're right across from MacArthur Park, and I go there. And they have printed all of this, and then we lay it out on tables, and they've cut all these and printed them, and then I kind of glue them, and we put pressure on them and let them.
That's like an old-fashioned print, right?
Yeah,
where everything was done by hand. But it's great because it really does have the hand of the artist. So you're involved.
Definitely, and they were just great.
Kind of environmental too, right? With the logs.
Well, I wanted to call it Only Humans Stack Wood, but then someone said that's not true, and then I said okay, so I couldn't call
Animal Stack Wood too. Well, tell us about the show. It's called Entropic Beauty.
In the Land of Entropic Beauty. So a little bit of the joke about me and my work is that the work is idiosyncratic, and so that everybody says you're entering Lisa Land when you're talking about the work. So it's kind of like a private world that I've built for myself. And this show is called In the Land of Entropic Beauty. So what I do is, I observe the world, and I observe things that probably or might be overlooked by people as being, tawdry or undesirable or ugly or something like that. But I really can find things that are quite aesthetic about that, and combined with, traditional beautiful
what
colors.
What is beauty,
like
right?
That. Yeah.
So one of the things in the bio said you're addressing paint treatment.
Oh, yes.
What does that mean?
Well, I think when you're strictly a painter, as I am, what you're always interested in is how to handle the paint. So different manners of handling paint. So maybe sometimes very thin, sometimes very realistically rendered, sometimes taped and, applied with something called paint butter for great relief. So each element in the painting is actually very thoughtfully and carefully considered in terms of how that might be painted.
Not with a brush or a sponge.
Sometimes brush work, sometimes with a palette knife.
Oh, all those different types. And before we leave, I know you've done a lot of public art, and especially at metro lines and fire stations and libraries.
My most recent was I think it opened a year ago or maybe 2 years ago. It's the Chatsworth Station at the Orange Line.
And how big is it, and what is it?
Oh, it's huge. It's 24 feet, and it's actually taken from a very realistically rendered painting I did that was originally 6 feet.
Oh, wow.
And it's of a native flowers in that area.
Oh, fabulous.
And then they take it, and we had it scanned, and then they reproduce it 24 feet long with enamel. So if you can imagine, they have a printer that kind of lays out glass in all the different colors. Then they bake it, and it's absolutely perfectly realistic.
And then how do they put it up?
They just mount it somehow. It's in the station, and then accompanying it is a 20-foot ellipse that is a mosaic. I made a silhouette of a running horse.
And that's so great.
It's really amazing what they can do. The Metro people are awesome, actually.
That's really great. And I know one more thing before we leave, because we're running out of time. The film Quickly tell us about the film. It's about you, right?
The film is about kind of a day in the life of, sort of, Lisa Land and my neighborhood that I live in, which is a very industrial neighborhood. And it screened on June the 6th at the Crest Theater in Westwood.
I know, I missed it.
And it was done by a filmmaker named Yuri Cole. And I think he has a couple of other films in the works too, but it was 54 minutes.
Oh, it's 54 minutes.
Yeah.
Will they screen it again? I screen it in the gallery.
They are not screening in the gallery this time, but I'm sure it will be out on Amazon or something like that.
That'd be great. I didn't want to leave that out.
It was an awesome experience.
I
too.
bet it was. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, John.
And thanks for watching this part of the show. We'll be right back with puppet, performer, artist, Marsian De Lellis. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with writer, performance artist, Marsian De Lellis, who was born and raised in Boston. He earned his Bachelor of Fine Arts at the Art Institute in Chicago and his MFA in Puppetry and the Arts at CalArts in Los Angeles, California Institute of the Arts. His work is featured in the 11th annual NOW Festival of Original Work at Red Cat, which is right next to Disney Hall.
Yes.
And what is it called? New Original Work. NOW?
Right.
And
that helps you remember it.
NOW?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's timely.
So what is New Original Work? What are the other things going on down there?
Well, I'm doing puppets and performing objects, and there's a lot of people that are doing dance and video-related stuff with performance.
Are they all from CalArts?
No, there's some people from there are some people from CalArts, there's some people from UCLA, and then there's some unknown entities.
So what I want to know is, when you were in Boston,
Yes.
were you into the arts?
I was. I was there until I was in high school, and then...
And what little community did you live in?
I lived just outside of Boston in this little community called Belmont, where Mitt Romney's from.
Belmont. My
Belmont.
show goes to Belmont.
Really?
Yes.
Massachusetts?
Yes,
Oh my
Belmont.
God.
Isn't that great?
Hi, Belmont.
And then when I walk on the street, they go, "Oh, there's Joan
There's
Quinn.
Joan."
She's on." I know, it's great. Belmont. I love Belmont. So you were into what were you doing?
I was more like your last guest. I was doing visual art, and it turned into installations and performances, and then I started making dolls, and I went to the Chicago Art Institute.
Yes, but were you painting at the Chicago Art Institute?
I was doing all of it. Like, I went there because they had performance art and film and painting, and it was so well-rounded. And
who teaches that?
Well, there's painting teachers, and
and then you integrate them.
Yeah,
Is that because you have to do the integration,
right?
It's
up
not
to
a
you.
class. I got in that. But is there an actual class in puppetry?
There was one taught by Blair Thomas. There he started the Red Moon Theater, and then they had like Janie Geyser as a visiting professor, or visiting artist. And I ended up studying with her here at CalArts.
Oh, so she taught at CalArts too. So there is actually, because this is pretty interesting, a puppet making class at CalArts.
Yeah.
And this puppet that we have, did you make the face? Did you make everything?
I did. So I sculpted.
Out of what?
I used foam and styrofoam and masking tape, like from Staples, but then I put all art supplies on it.
But do you learn that in class?
You learn lots of different techniques. Like, I also study at the Eugene O'Neill Theater Center every year, and they have a puppetry festival. And, there's lots of techniques, but you have to decide, like, what works best for your show.
So there's a puppet on a hand.
There's a Muppety style.
Yes.
There's American tabletop theater style, which is kind of an offshoot of Bunraku, which is the Japanese style where 6 people.
And then there's the other.
There's rod puppetry. There's kites.
Strings.
There's theatrical. things.
What
They're
about those old-fashioned puppets?
marionettes?
Marionettes.
Yes.
What about
Yes.
that? Are they anywhere anymore?
Yes, they are at the O'Neill Center. I
they
actually studied with the maker of Howdy Doody's son, Jim Rose, and Philip Huber, who did the girl in the Wizard of Oz movie that just came out. But it's a very old art form, and very few people do it right now because it's so precise. And it's kind of the opposite of computers.
Well, how did you...
It kind of chose me.
It loved you.
It loved me. I was making dolls, and people were like, "Well, what are their stories about? They're pretty far out. What are they?"
You mean a little doll like this?
Yeah, a little stitchier, and yeah, and they wanted to know what their stories were about. And so this one is the performance I'm going to be doing at the Now Festival is called Object of Her Affection, and it's about a woman who falls in love with inanimate objects. So I thought it would be a good topic for a puppet show. And
so you wrote it?
Yeah, I wrote it.
So what's the story?
It's about Andrea Lowe.
Andrea. Does she just sit there?
No, she moves around, and there's different versions of her, starting from a baby. Like, we find her after she's just fallen off a building, and the whole thing's in flashback.
Is she all flattened out, falling off the building?
No, she's a little disheveled, and bones and stuff are out of place.
And then how do you make her talk?
Well, I move her head when I'm talking as her.
Do you just leave her on the table like this and talk?
I do. Grandma's a little easier because
show me how you do that.
She lives in a chair, and she can, be manipulated.
Use this
yeah. And so
when Grandma talks, what does she do?
I'm going to stitch up your pretty little face in no time. She's kind of a hoarder. Like, she's got a Raggedy Ann collection and a lot of abandoned dolls that she likes to repair.
Is she part of this show?
She is. She's Andrea's grandmother.
Oh, she is? So what does she tell Andrea?
Well, so Andrea comes to live with her after her mom dies, and she volunteers as a church organist, and she works at a doll hospital, and then that's when we discover that Andrea has an infatuation with her blanket, Blanky, and
I like that.
She has a lot of other relationships, like with a hunting rifle.
Oh, those are the kind of inanimate objects that she loves?
She has a lust for the Berlin Wall, but she never gets to meet him because we all know what happens. Spoiler alert. And then what else? The World Trade Towers. That's kind of edgy.
So you tell stories about all this? How long is your show?
It's an hour.
Oh, wow.
But I'm workshopping the full hour right before the Now Festival at this place called Automata in Chinatown. So we're rough drafting it. And then at the Red Cat, I'm going to put up the best, most polished 20 minutes of it.
Oh, I see. Oh.
Yeah.
So they take portions, so there'll be several people performing the same night. You'll do puppetry.
Yeah, there's
somebody else will do.
3 people that night. Carol Kim and another man who does dance and poetry.
Oh, that's fabulous, isn't it?
Yeah, so you'll get a little of everything.
But so, Christo wrapped buildings, and he did
and
drawings.
the flags.
And how do you document what you do?
I take video, and I do a lot of pictures beforehand.
Do you draw?
I draw, yeah.
Because the only way for an artist to get his work out, other than that one performance, is to have this string of something that shows what you did, right?
Right. And that's the cool thing about puppet theater, too, is that it's intimate, and people are all on their cell phones now, and it's digital, and they're...
You mean they're taking pictures of it?
No, that's the way we communicate now, but this, you have to be in the same room, and you get to see the person creating it, and it's tactile, so...
Do you perform in other kind of venues than, on a stage?
Yeah, I've performed in galleries, I think.
I wondered about
in installations.
That, art galleries,
yeah.
And do you
I would like to do that a little bit more, actually, if there's any curators watching the show.
Because a gallery show would be great, wouldn't it? And then you could have your drawings on the walls.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
and sell your art.
Objects to sell.
Or objects. I
That
think
sounds lucrative.
great.
That's a great idea.
But I think it's wonderful because it gets what you're doing out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different art form. Totally
Yeah.
different art form. We're not used to that. So, and you just talk right there.
Right.
While Grandma's sitting on your lap?
Yeah, well, I have a bunch of tables, and I'm performing behind them, and
You're performing
Yeah.
behind them, so you would be just like Grandma right here on your lap?
yeah.
And what would and then how do you go to Andrea?
Well, this version of Andrea has a nice stand, so I can leave one and move to the other. But the other ones, like, we're figuring it all out right now. We're putting Velcro in places and planning it out so that, like, somebody's sitting on a sofa while somebody's standing.
What about lighting?
We're working with a fabulous lighting designer at Red Cat, and then there's also some practical lights that are on the stage or in. Yesterday, I was experimenting with like a headlamp, and then I was
really?
like, no, I look too much like that Seven Dwarf doc or whatever, you know.
What about, why do you need a director if you've written it all and you've done it all?
I really need an outside eye because you can't really see yourself. Like, you could see yourself in a monitor, but it's backwards, or the mirror. But
Who
I
is
love
your director?
She's Michelle Spears, and she's wonderful. I know her from working on another show called Wake Up You're Weird.
Same thing with puppets?
It's with puppets. It was our friend Leslie Carrara who had a children's show, and I know her from the improv world too, and she's a director and choreographer. So it's just great to have an outside eye, and she's also on continuity. Like, she lets me know if,
so you do need
like, we said Andrea came there at 3:00, and then she's good at that. She's great.
Oh, I see. I see.
She's helping me clarify the story a little bit.
I see. So you really do need somebody like that to help you.
Yeah.
I didn't think that you would need it since you wrote it all and you're performing it, that you wouldn't need an outside. Do performances without your puppets?
I do. I just did a fun show called To Whom It May Concern, and it's where you read letters from people, or people you wish you could write letters to.
Did you write?
I
Did you write it
did.
all? What are
Yeah.
they? Who did you wish you could write to?
I wrote to a 20 years ago boyfriend.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually send the letter, but I was like, what happened to you?
You didn't use puppets for that?
No, yeah. And the last show I did was called Bride of Wildenstein the Musical, and it was about the Catwoman. Perhaps you're friends with her, Jocelyn Wildenstein? No. Good.
Oh, Wildenstein.
Okay. Yeah, it was about a woman who transforms. Yeah.
50 facelifts.
Yeah, so for that one, it seemed like masks was a good move.
Did you use?
I used puppets.
Fantastic.
And
did you make them like that?
Yeah, no, well, I was her, and I did like a live makeup change I did a song about plastic surgery and did like a face change on stage. And
Fantastic.
And I had other characters be puppets.
So do you research all of the things that
I do. That's a really big part of it. Like, for this, I looked up every clip on object sexuals. They're people that fall in love with buildings and statues and other structures. And
big psychosis, huh? Like,
I guess so, but they would say it's more of a lifestyle or that kind of thing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles. And Grandma says goodbye. Keep writing to JAQUINN1 at AOL.com. And we'll see you next time.